Hey there friends, and welcome to my beginner's guide for going medieval. I'm Icon, and this video will guide you through all the necessary steps to set up a bustling and thriving little colony. So let's get started. I'm doing this video in the early access version, that's basically the release version, so keep that in mind, there might be bugs. When we start out the game, we get to choose if we want to have a peaceful game, a survival game, or a standard game. For beginners, I would strongly recommend to go for the standard game. If you don't like combat in general and only want to go for the building mode, there's the peaceful mode for you. Difficulty-wise, I'm moving on the normal difficulty, but the only recommendation I can do here, if it's too hard for you or you don't like it, turn it down, or if you find it boring, turn up the difficulty. Simple as that. So with the starting conditions, RimWorld players will already know that. You can either have a start with 3 people and a couple of resources, or a lone wolf start. We're going to base around the beginner's start, where we have some food, some building materials, some equipment to begin with, and that's going to be a pretty good beginner's package here. So first off, you get to choose if you want to live in a valley, hillside, or mountain area, and the map size is right now not configurable, but well, this will happen in the future, I guess. So when you randomize the seed, you can already see how the environment changes. So go for whatever you want to have. The different starting places can be selected here. We're going to start out in the hillside area because I like that. And here goes the Colonist selection. So what I want to emphasize is you should try to have a little bit of construction, botany, and, well, medicine on your colony, because these are the most important beginner stats. But beyond that, there's one thing that I strongly recommend, that's bringing your to your colony at least one marksman with a skill beyond 10, because you spawn with a longbow, which can be only handled by people that have a marksmanship skill beyond 10. So we're going to roll this up a little bit. We have a constructor and a medical person. I personally always value the passions over the actual skill level, because here, with a low medicine skill level, he will learn insanely fast. With the perks, just pick whatever you find for yourself quite cool. I'm personally a player, I really like to go as random as possible with my colonists to make, or settlers as they are called here, to avoid some bias. The only thing I want to mention here is there is a religious alignment here. So there's the oak people on the left side and the restitutionists on the right side. Easily said, the left side is more the paganistic, nature-based religion, and the right side is more, well, monotheistic, burn the infidels and the unbelievers style stuff. So we have this all settled down. There's not much more to say at this point of the game. Here we get to check mark or check out what we have configured. I'm disabling the tutorial tips here because, well, I'm doing the tutorial. But if you're starting out the game for the first time, these tutorial tips give you a overview about how the menus work, but not much more than that. So when you start out here, first up, let's press the space button and pause. We have a lot of items just lying around here in the botany, and also this is our environment. When you're holding down the mouse wheel, you can twist it like that or invert it like that, zoom in with the mouse wheel too. And what's really important here for this game in general, it has height levels. You can see here, this is showing all 16 layers right now, and when you hold the control button and use the mouse wheel, as you can see here, you can change the height levels until you are underground. This is really important because, as you can see here, there's a canyon down here, which we can use later. And when you're building stuff, you will need this functionality a lot. So to get started, we will need 2 things. We're going to want to have a stockpile area. So I'm just going to drop down a stockpile here. There we go. And then we want to allow these items with this tool or pressing the dot button. So, because as long as these items are not allowed, your dudes and dudettes won't go for that. And since I like to have my storage areas enclosed, we're going to drop that. We're going to do our first building here. So let's take the wooden walls and spread them like that. If that happens to you, if it looks like that, you have to turn up the height areas a little bit to see things going. And here's the first thing that I did wrong. When you want to continue the wall, turn your camera to make sure you hit this spot. Otherwise you would be dropping a wall tile on top of this wall, and that's not really what you want right now. Okay, so we're going to drop down another wall here. And another wall there. And another wall here. And last but not least, a door for our people to enter and leave the storage area. And then a thatched roof on top of that. Let's use the height areas. There we go. And then... oh, there we go. Already trolled myself here with that door. So, as we see here, I accidentally placed down a door on that, so I couldn't finish the thatched roof. Let's just cancel that. And do this again. The height areas in this game are a little bit confusing at first, but promise you get used to it rather quickly. So this is going to be our storage house, but I think our dudes need a little bit more than that. So we're going to place down another couple of walls here and do our first room to live in. There we go. There goes the door. To avoid placing things on top of these, you can always go for stuff like that. And I think I didn't add a door now because I accidentally placed it on top. So this room also needs a roof. And the next thing you ultimately want to have is a sleeping spot for everybody. So if we lower the height menu again, we can get rid of the roofs there. And then we're going to place down 3 hay sleeping spots. And what we're also going to need is a Oak Brethren shrine for our people to pray at, because your settlers have a need for religious activities, and they are going to be unhappy if they're unable to fulfill that. Inside our room here, we're also going to place down a, well, not inside, but outside, a campfire in front of that, and a basic research table inside here, because this is going to be one of the first things we're going to need. Okay, now these are the utmost basics. Okay, let's do one more thing, and that's a butchering table, so we can get our hunting things done. So let's get into the job menu. RimWorld players will recognize this rather quick, but I'm going to explain it for everybody who's new to this. So you can see here your passions on the people in form of stars, and all these jobs will be worked down from left to right. And you can assign priorities to that. I really like to put high priorities on people who are really good at it. So we're going to prioritize constructing and smithing on these dudes. And I'm going to put a priority on hauling. Also very important, have always one person on a high priority on cooking. And wound tending should always be done by the people with the best medicine skills and or passions. Because wound tending determines the quality of the treatment, and if the wound is quite lethal, you better want your best doctors on that. Okay, so we're now watching our friends building these items, but we're not going to have enough wood or enough food. So to acquire more wood, we're going to chop these trees here, boom. And since the campfire is important to me, I'm going to select one of my constructors. Let's see, that's David and Harry. And right-click this thing and prioritize it. You can prioritize simple actions like this, so this is also quite important to know. So we're going to need somebody who's cutting plants for us as well. So let's assign Herefrith to that. And now we're getting the job done little by little. Roofs are made out of hay, and hay can be acquired by harvesting tall grass patches. So you can just double click them to select everything around here, and then you can easily cut them, or if you don't want to destroy the plants, you can also select the harvest command, put it over there, and it will only harvest the ripe ones. Also worth mentioning, these mushrooms here are eatable, and there's a lot of things in this game where you can just forage food from. Okay, so with these things being done, I'm going to pause here and fast forward until all the construction work is done. Alright, the little shack has been completed, and now we're going to talk about work orders and how to produce things in this game. So our campfire is not producing anything, but it's also a spot where we can cook. So meals will be produced out of cooking materials and out of fuel. And we're going to do this here, and now we got the work job. Here you can configure how much should be done. And for food, I really like to produce until I have 2 meals per person. That's 6 meals. So in the edit menu here, you can also configure which kind of food should be used for the cooking process. If you want to stockpile certain materials, you can disable them. Like if I would want to keep the mushrooms for something else, I could remove the check mark here. So that's what we need for that. Also keep in mind you can pause the production of items here, just like that. So this way is how all the workbenches in this game are being used like. The butchery table, I really like to go for a forever configuration on raw meat. Just make sure, well, the standard configuration does not allow you to harvest enemy corpses or human corpses because we don't like human meat, but if that's your style, that's how to do it. Okay, now we're going to talk about equipment and fighting next, and then we're going to do research. So items are lying here on the ground, and we see here our weapons and stuff. So it's pretty simple and easy, so this won't take too long. Herefrith is going to receive the longbow. You just select the person, right click, and then you equip it. And now let's see, David is a pretty shoddy marksman, so we're going to give him that spear. And Harry is quite passionate about marksmanship, so we're going to give him the short bow. There's the same methods applying to armors, so here's armor. Let's equip that to David because he seems to be the only person interested in melee. And this is how you do it. That's all that's to it. If you want to manage it more thoroughly, you can go into the manage menu and configure that people should always be wielding melee one-handed weapons or whatever. So these are automations that can be really, really useful to avoid this micromanagement like that. If you want to fight, it's really simple. You just draft these people either via the management menu or via clicking them directly, and then you can control them just like in every real-time strategy game that you know. Like every drafted person, let's draft Herefrith, can be right-clicked upon, and then you see here's the range of the weapon. And to attack, you can either do this with a command or just by right-clicking on something. Your ranged people will attack automatically if there's something in their vicinity. Your melee people will engage on the enemy as soon as he is close enough. You can also define their undrafted stance here. So that's pretty much everything that is to be said about basic combat. Okay, let's get into research. We have constructed the research table, and this is a way more interesting and a little bit more complicated topic here. So research is being done by producing chronicles and assigning them to technologies. So chronicles we're going to produce until we have a certain amount. Here we go. The related job for that is research. So we're going to put Harry on that job. and lower his priorities everywhere else. And now what's happening here is we have those empty chronicles here lying around. And in the research menu, you can select technologies to research. When we are researching now architecture, we are assigning 15 of our chronicles to this tech to unlock it. And as you can see here, we have 10 chronicles left, which are empty, and 15 are allocated to that. The funny thing about this game is the chronicles can get stolen by enemies. And as you can see here, they're also decaying because of the ground type. So you should put down a wooden floor in your rooms as quick as possible to stop that. Because once your chronicles are gone, the tech is also gone. So you might want to avoid that. Okay, next thing we're going to talk about is how it works to go deeper into tech. As you see here, you're producing the chronicles, and later down the road you're getting textbooks and theses. So these are then made on other tables, and it's the same method, just needing more and more resources and more work to get things done. I'd strongly advise you to research agriculture as one of the first things you strive for, because it's really useful to be able to do your own food, and wooden weaponry afterwards, because this is the only way to acquire fresh weapons for new people in your colony. You can't really get them in other ways. Okay, so what I want to do now for the last two things of this video is I want to show you how to build a multi-story building, and I also want to show you how to dig rooms below the ground, because these are two very important things for the game. So we're going to draw down another room. Oh, I totally forgot, you can also add in windows. Windows make your life more pleasant. And we're going to draw the room as usual. And now we're going to drop in the wooden beams, which were unlocked by the architecture tech. So, well, no, we can't, because we need to wait until the building is completely done. Of course, I forgot. Under these circumstances, we're of course not adding a roof on top of that, and I'm going to pause the video until this building is done. Now, we got that building done. So after that's all set up, we can now set up the wooden beams. And as you can see here, they are immediately being placed down between the walls, just like they're meant to be, as soon as I mouse over that. So to build a second story, of course, you need a staircase as well. Try to have in front of the staircase and, well, in front of the staircase's bottom end and in front of the staircase's top end, one free tile, just like here. So here's one free tile, and up here is one free tile. This way your dudes have no problems entering the next floor. So now we're going to select the wooden floor tile, or wait a sec, we're going to take the wooden walls next and place them on top of this. So this time we need the on top placement. There we go. That's that. And last but not least goes the thatched roof again. Bang. So we got this all done. And as you see here now, there's all these blueprints in the way, and that's quite annoying. So we're changing the layer menu again. So you'll be playing with that layer menu quite a lot, because it really is your steady companion. And now to get the wooden floors onto the right level. So as you see here, now it's the bottom level, and if we mouse over just at the right spot, we get the top level, and now we can pull it over here. But we are not allowed to pull it over the stairs, of course, but as soon as you have your first tile locked in up here, it's no problem anymore. And now that's all that's to it. Now your guys will build the second story, and it's going to be accessible via here, and this way you can build easily multi-storage buildings. You could also go for a not so blocky look and have an outside terrace. From here on, your imagination is your only limitation. So I just want to teach you the tools. Okay, so now we also can go for mining and digging stuff underground, which is really, really valuable. So in the summertime, refrigeration grows rather important, and you can either dig a hole into the ground, or you just use a formation just like this one here, and we're going to tunnel ourselves in here just like that. And we're also going to build ourselves staircases to get down there. You can either take wood or clay, whatever fits your taste more. And then we're going to lower the height levels again. And here we can see now that we are at the correct level. Let's go into the mining tool again. And this way we're... Oh, that was wrong. As you see here, sometimes you just have to check out if your commands actually hit the proper height level or not. This is a rather finicky chore, and well, let's put it upwards a bit. And well, I can only say you'll get used to it. So here we go. If you're struggling with that, wait until they have dug the room into the mountain. Then it's way easier to get this box going. So this is now going to be very, very valuable for us, because now my colony gets a room which is inside the mountain, and which is going to be cooler in the summertime. You could prepare that as quick as possible, because here in the tooltip, the game even warns you from that. So, because winter is also coming, we're also needing, agriculture, which I researched in between. It's very simple. You just select the type of field. Down here, you can select the type of crop, and then you just drop down the field. The only thing I want to emphasize, try to not make these fields too large, because your people will be flooded in work. The better your botanists are, the more fields you can go for, but I really would say less is more, you know? If you're really running low on food at some point, you can always forage in the world as long as the right season is up, and for the winter you can stockpile either, or you just go hunting animals. So also check out, there are clay piles just outside here in the world for you to pick up. And now the last thing I want to point a finger on is research. I want to talk about the furniture here again, because this unlocks better beds. Pretty useful and important tech, at least I thought it was. Food preservation is also very important when you want to create stockpiles for the winter. And tailoring is quite valuable too, because obviously it protects you from the winter time as well. The other techs here are just for new building materials, and I didn't consider them as important as these others. So last but not least, defensive structures can be really, really useful to make your attackers' life a little bit more miserable. So that's all I wanted to say for this tutorial. I hope it was helpful for you. Drop me a comment down below. If you have any questions left open, please feel free to ask. If there's anything you feel like that had to be in this tutorial, please add it. There's no competition here. The more knowledge we allocate beneath this video, the better. Also, feel free to leave a thumbs up on that video if you liked the work I did. And also check out my channel. I do daily content there, and if you just subscribe and turn on those notifications, you won't miss any future content from my side. Also in the description below there, you'll find my Twitch channel where I do daily streams, and also ways and means for financial support of this video project. Either a tip or a steady financial support would be really, really awesome, but don't you worry, the advertisement phase is over now. I thank you for your attention, and thanks for watching this video, because that means the most. Have fun, and see you soon. Bye-bye.